What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're going to take a look over here at the Bitcoin price chart. We're going to take a peek over at the stock market because there's a lot going on over there in the stock market. And we're going to take a peek over there at the XRP price chart and talk about a lot of the things that are going on the XRP ledger, XRP trust lines, and the XRP price chart. When I left you guys off earlier this week, we were talking about Bitcoin holding this price level here at about $53,000 in order to hold our Elliott wave structure and go on for a final wave for Bitcoin. I deep dived into that, what that would look like compared to previous cycles in 2013 and 2017, that historically that has led to very big altcoin seasons, altcoin run-ups to kind of finish off the market cycle if that's the position that we're in right now. So if you missed the videos from earlier this week, I really deep dive into that. Like I said, it was probably going to be a lot of repeating this week that, hey, we still need to hold this level. I was looking over here on the right side of the screen mentioning that, I haven't seen anything take off just yet. So we're not seeing like those early indicators coming out in the market yet that things are ready to rock and roll. And that I was betting that Bitcoin still probably has some scaring left in it that it still needed to do. So Bitcoin is still holding here, still looking to the right side of the screen. I'm not seeing things taking off yet. I'm not seeing those early indicators happening just yet. So I'm not so convinced that Bitcoin still isn't done scaring the market right now. But the thing that I'm going to be watching for is to see Bitcoin hold this $53,000 price level. And really, it is actually just a hair below 53. I believe it's at like 52.95. Yeah, right around there. So all those things still remain the same after the last several days of still just remaining in this price level here, currently sitting at 56,600. Now, one of the things that has been going on in the market has been a pretty big drawdown over here in the US stock market. It's really just kind of been falling, and we can see that right now, that it's really just been pretty much a down week ever since last Friday, since the whole new, C19 variant stuff has started to come out and create a little bit of fear. But the reality is, I've shown this several times on here, how high the stock market is getting. And I posted about this on my Twitter yesterday. So if you had an opportunity to check that out, I tried to point out, how high the stock market is, right? It's almost reached out to a full 4.236 extension up in here for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The NASDAQ looks the same. We could see the bubble that formed back in 1999, the dot-com bubble, and then the collapse where the stock market or the NASDAQ lost over 80% of its value. And now here we are, 21 years later, almost at the 4.236 extension. So we're seeing big, huge bubbles being printed over here in the US stock market for the NASDAQ and for the Dow Jones. So, I've referenced this many times when we were in the C19 sell-off that happened back in here. I remained confident with bullish conviction that we would recover out of there because of the phase of where we were at within the bubble, and that I thought we would recover, have a V bottom, and go up higher. And well, that cryptocurrency would follow along with the stock market. Sure enough, it has gone up, but as we can see, even the Dow Jones as well is getting up near this 4.236 extension. So when I posted this over there on Twitter, I tried to show the time points of when Bitcoin was bullish and when Bitcoin was in a bear market. We could see that Bitcoin was created at the bottom of the great financial crisis back in 2009. And every time the Dow Jones was moving up to a new level, that is when a Bitcoin bull market took place. When the Dow Jones went into consolidation or bearish time periods, Bitcoin went into bear markets at the same time. Whenever the Dow Jones would break out from that range and move up to a new trading range, Bitcoin would have a bull market during that time period as well. And then as it would go into consolidation and ranging mode, Bitcoin would go into a bear market as well. And we could see that the whole way up for Bitcoin, including the 2017 bull run for Bitcoin that took place all throughout here. And now, as it ranged, after breaking from the range, now in 2021, we see the next bull market. But as we could see, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is getting really close there to that 4.236 extension. The NASDAQ is getting really close to that 4.236 extension. And Bitcoin has never existed during a time period of a prolonged bear market for the stock market. And I know a lot of people like to argue that, crypto's not tied to stocks. I hope this chart just completely outlines it for you and proves to you that it does. I've done so many deep dives on it that Bitcoin is 100% tied to the stock market from a broader perspective. But as we're getting up in here, a lot of things are showing the confluence that we're looking for, right? You've got Bitcoin reaching up to the 4.236 extension. You've got the NASDAQ reaching up to the 4.236 extension based on the 1999 dot-com bubble. And then you have the Dow Jones reaching up to the 4.236 extension based on the great financial crisis. And then all of these different things are all aligning all at the same time. All three of those, the the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and Bitcoin all crossing above their 3.618 Fibonacci extensions at the same time. And not only that, all of these are based off different time frames, right? We're only talking about the last, 3 to 4 years for Bitcoin. We're talking about the last 12 years for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and we're talking about the last 21 years for the Nasdaq. All of them crossing this 3.618 Fibonacci extension at the same time, getting up here near the final one, the 4.236. So is there any good news we can make from all that? Because all that sounds kind of scary to me. It sounds like the whole thing's about to completely collapse on itself. And well, there's a good fear narrative out there right now. And well, stocks are down or the Dow Jones is down like 2,000 points, maybe even more over the course of the last week. Should we all be panicking in fear? Here's the good news. All three of them haven't hit their 4.236 extensions just yet. So all of them are still shy from it. When we're looking at Bitcoin right here, we've deep dived into the structures of it. The structures say that if we repeat what happened in 2013 and 2017, there's one more final wave to go up a little bit higher. So that's good news. And it's looking more likely that, well, I mean, it just sounds odd that all three of them on three different time frames would get all the way up near there and none of them would actually hit it. It would make way more sense for me for all three of them to hit it all at the same point. So it's just kind of like looking at it ahead of time and saying, hey, look, that event is coming. That event where all three of them are going to hit their 4.236 extensions seems likely that that's going to be in our near future. And when I think about what happens in those time periods, usually some type of black swan shows up. If that's going to be the top, when we had the Evergrande stuff happening over there, all the debt defaulting happening over there in China, which is still ongoing right now, right? Everybody became fear that that was going to be the thing that would have contagion and spill over everywhere. And then now you have this whole variant thing, this new C19 thing. A lot of times, we like to think we can pick out that black swan, but what usually happens is it's something we could have never ever guessed that it would be. And that's the great thing for governments. So you can lean back on that because if that's what ends up happening, which is, in my opinion, most likely to happen, is that some event will occur when all of those hit the 4.236 extension, and none of us will have guessed what that event will be. It's already baked in the cake. Whatever it's going to be, it's already baked in the cake, but none of us will guess what it actually is going to be. And then that opens up the whole door to, the puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, or are you living in a simulation, or is the universe perfectly mathematically balanced to know how to make events happen when they're supposed to happen? What is God doing? I don't really know how all these things happen when they happen, but it feels to me that this, new variant thing, it's just a little too obvious, right? You're telling me that the whole system's just going to collapse on itself because we heard of a new variant. This is what, like the fifth one this year? What, this one is the one that's going to do it? I really doubt it. I think it would be something way more unpredictable than that. But again, what I'm falling back on here is saying none of them have actually hit it. The NASDAQ, based on a 21-year rally or a 21-year recovery, has not hit its 4.236. The Dow Jones, a 12-year recovery, has not hit its 4.236. And Bitcoin, going on for 4 years here, has still not quite hit it. But all of them have passed that 3.618. So all of them are getting very, very close. So usually at the end of market cycles is when things get pretty wild and pretty exciting. It doesn't matter if it's crypto or whatnot. You just see things really popping off and flying because there's a lot of liquidity movement happening at those times. But I would say it's actually a bullish case for the fact that the Dow Jones hasn't hit the 4.236 and the NASDAQ hasn't hit the 4.236 and Bitcoin hasn't either. It seems far more likely to me that Bitcoin is going to hold and Bitcoin is going to recover and it is going to go up there and hit that slightly higher pricing, because it sure would be weird to get all the way up there and not quite make it for the NASDAQ and for the Dow Jones to get way up there and not quite get it. But if I had to guess, with the Dow Jones and the structure that I'm going to be looking for heading into potentially the final phase of the stock market for the bull run that we've had since the great financial crisis, it would be along the lines of looking for more of just like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be the ending phase. So in this typical structure where we see something like this, where you have an A, B, C, usually you have one bounce up, second bounce up. This one can actually even come down lower than here if it wants to, so long as it doesn't take out this area over here. And then I'm really just looking for final 5 waves to come out of here to finish off the stock market. And the thing that begs the biggest question out there is what happens to Bitcoin? What happens to cryptocurrency during that time period? We don't have the answer because it's never happened before. We don't know what happens if the stock market bubble pops. and then what occurs to cryptocurrency, because the only data set we have is from starting back in 2009 with the creation of Bitcoin at the bottom of the great financial crisis. And the only data sets we have are to show that as the Dow Jones moves up to a new trading range, Bitcoin goes into a bull market during that time period. As the Dow Jones consolidates in that trading range, Bitcoin goes into a bear market. And then as the Dow Jones breaks from that trading range and goes to a new trading range, Bitcoin goes into a bull market. So if the Dow Jones does top here, if the stock market does top in here, we don't have the data to show what type of correction Bitcoin could have in an actual bear market for the stock market. The only presumption that I think can be made for Bitcoin would be that Bitcoin would go into a prolonged bear market, one that is longer and bigger than any bear market we've ever seen, should the Dow Jones actually go into a real bear market that lasts for like 5, 10, 15 years, something like that. Because we can all speculate, and I know it's a very popular speculation to make, to say that, yeah, I know that the economy is going to crash, everything's going to fall apart, and then Bitcoin's going to rise from the ashes. Cryptocurrency is going to rise from the ashes. But that's totally just a guess. That's totally just, the narrative and the storyline that people want to hold on to and hope that's what happens. But when we just go based on the data, we don't have that type of information to know that something like that could occur. Because every time the Dow Jones has gone into a trading range or into a bearish time period, cryptocurrency did as well. So I keep that in mind of the reality of where we are right now. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. If this is what's coming up next, if there's some type of blow off top coming in the stock market, some type of blow off top coming in Bitcoin, that should lead to an incredible opportunity in the altcoin market with prices firing off and blow off tops everywhere. And that's great. That's wonderful, because that's the type of stuff I want to sell. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also going to be very hesitant to bring my money back into the market super quickly, because I really want to see what's going to happen here. Is it something where, like what we see usually with Bitcoin, it has about a 1 year long bear market where Bitcoin just falls for a year. And then after that year, hey, you're good to go. You can just buy that bottom after an 85% crash and then just hold on to it and you're good to go. Is that the type of situation we're going to have like we typically have? Or will things be different due to the macroeconomic picture being different with the stock market? So these are the things that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. And it's just what the thought process is for me. After I'm done selling this market, what am I going to do with my money? Am I just going to find a new place to go throw it into right away? I can already tell you right now, it's probably going to be, I'm going to sit on that money for a little while and figure out what the heck is going on here in the stock market afterwards. And what will that black swan be? And what will society be like? So I thought that was interesting to point to show that all these major indexes are reaching up to these same Fibonacci extensions, and they're based on different time frames off the great financial crisis and off the 1999 dot-com bubble, all getting up here, all crossing above the 3.618, including Bitcoin, all getting near this 4.236. So it makes me optimistic that things are okay for Bitcoin because nothing else has reached out to it, but it's definitely showing me some confluence of things to watch out for and be prepared that that black swan event could show up, because they do show up at just the right time. Moving along, heading over to the Xrp price chart, which, if Bitcoin does have this recovery, I've spent the last several days pointing to what has happened with the altcoin market during that time period. If Bitcoin has one more push up, as you guys know, Xrp is the largest investment I have in the cryptocurrency market. We've spent a lot of time looking at the previous super cycles for Xrp. Back in April, looking for $2. Unfortunately, going into incredibly long consolidation here for Xrp, but still maintaining in the same range. For me, still, it's going to be moving up to that $10 to $13 price level. As you can see from this previous fractal for a super cycle, it gets it out there to about $8.80. If we look back in here, we can see Wix did come higher than what the fractal were, but it gets you up into that range. That's still the thing that I'm holding on to going into that moment, is that these lagging altcoins would be the ones that provide the best opportunity for me. So most of my investment portfolio, the vast majority of the pie that I own, is all in stuff that is still below the 2017-2018 all-time high. And for XRP, at the end of the 2017 bull run and 2013 bull run, XRP was already taking off. If XRP was taking off right now, and let's say it was at like $5 or something, $6 or something right now, I would be feeling pretty scared about Bitcoin right now, because historically that's always been an indicator of the end of the bull run is when XRP is taking off. We don't have that happening yet. So like I mentioned back in May, June, and July, everybody was scared. I was still optimistic, holding on to it, having conviction that we would recover because this is one of the signs we had not seen happen in the market yet. Still, to this point, we haven't seen that happen yet. So I'm holding on to that conviction that there's still more room for the upside for some of the altcoins. Now, if an altcoin looks like this, like Ethereum, something that's already gone off into a major bull run, hey, whether or not it goes up higher, it's hard for me to take any risk on something like this that's already done something like that. So I'm not so convinced that the ones that have already risen thousands of percentage points still have these big mega runs left in them. I'm way more focused on the things that are still very low, but you guys already know that. But anyway, I want to touch topics on some other things. Heading back over to XRP, there's been some issues with the XRP ledger over the course of the last couple of days. I'm not even going to pretend that I have the capacity to fully understand all the issues that are going on with it. But from my basic understanding with it, the XRP ledger is overloaded right now. And we could see Vend over here on Twitter talking about it, that the XRP ledger can't handle the current load well. The amount of trust lines and tokens has exploded beyond numbers expected and tested. XRPL public nodes clusters are being scaled up, but it just isn't ready yet. Talking about XRP ledger nodes being out of sync and that there's so much congestion. And he posts over here, everybody is only looking at transactions per second, but what if 40,000 users simultaneously connect to a bunch of public nodes to check their balances, the order books, prices, lists of S coins to add? Then those nodes will get crushed under the load of the number of users even before hitting transactions per second. So essentially what is happening here is, obviously, if you're unaware of what's going on with XRP, there's now things, trust lines, right? Airdrops, new tokens being created. And if you've ever looked at the comment section of anything that I post over here on Twitter, there are always people in there trying to promote their new coin that they've created on the trust line, and they're trying to get it listed over there on Bitrue. And Bitrue is listing multiple coins per day. They have this BTR vote thing, and they let people vote what coins they want added. And if you just go through here and look at Bitrue's Twitter feed, you could see that every day they are just adding a ton of new coins to Bitrue. And all these new coins that get listed over here on Bitrue that get created on the XRP ledger by trust lines and airdrops, and they finally get onto Bitrue, the same thing happens over and over again. The price of it crashes, and it becomes a source of exit liquidity. Essentially, these things get shilled in everybody's Twitter feeds, all over YouTube videos. There's bots that are created to shill the coins, and then by the time they get onto Bitrue, they dump them and use Bitrue as exit liquidity. So that's what's going on with the network right now. That's what's going on with XRP. The network is apparently overloaded, and all the people working on it are getting pretty frustrated right now. So careful out there with all these trust lines. There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. The people who get the airdrops and the people who dump it on Bitrue are going to be the winners. The people who are actually buying it off these people on Bitrue when they go live are the ones who are going to be the losers. So be safe out there. Otherwise, grand picture of what's going on in the market. I hope that painted a picture of what's going on with stocks. That's what's going on in crypto, the correlation between the two, and why I'm still optimistic on cryptocurrencies, because I'm still optimistic on the stock market. But not for long. So, all right, that's it. I'll wrap it up for this one. I hope that you guys are having a great week. We're almost at the end of the week. I want to thank you so much for watching my channel. If you'd like, you could check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com. And this is a course that I put together where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs, the different altcoin market cycles. I tie them all together to show how this cryptocurrency market has worked in the past. I talk about my personal exit plans in here, and I teach you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. I did recently add an Ethereum Part 4 final update in here and the Blockchain Backer exit plan Part 4 progress update. Also, just a couple of days ago, I did add the monthly market update in here on November 30th. Bitcoin hit $69,000. Altcoin market cycle similarities to ending phases. You can check out all of this educational content over here on bcbacker.com. You can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker, and I want to thank you so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.